Ahoy hoy, this is Michaela from Team Retroarch, where we like retro games, we like roguelikes, and we like all the devices that bring them to us. So you've gone and done it. Prime Day hit, and you grabbed the Fire Stick for $25. Now you're sitting here thinking, what am I going to do with this $25 Fire Stick? It's alright. Team Retroarch is here to help. We're going to actually turn this into a retro gaming device. So while we're unboxing this majestic piece of inexpensive Prime Day tech, I'm going to actually explain what we're going to do in this video. We're going to go through initial setup. I'm going to tell you what you need to make this a retro device. We're going to install 4 apps, and we are going to get Retroarch all set up. The other 3 apps will be featured in my second video on how to make this Fire Stick 4K a retro gaming device. So look forward to that video within the next week. By the end of this video, however, you should have your Fire Stick 4K set up, and you should have Retroarch up and running and able to play whatever games and ROMs you have that are compatible with Retroarch. This was a very challenging device to work with, and we have a lot of ground to cover, so let's go ahead and let's get started. Now, we're going to need a few things in order to make sure that we can actually run ROMs off of this Fire Stick. The first thing that we are going to need is a USB OTG cable for the Fire Stick. This is a micro USB model. We're also going to need a USB drive. I highly recommend the SanDisk Cruisers. This is a 32 gigabyte SanDisk Cruiser that I had kicking around. I didn't want to spend any more money than I had already spent, so I only spent about $10 on the OTG cable, and we're just going to plug it in here. And I didn't spend any money on the USB drive because I had it kicking around, but I will include a link to both the USB drive and the OTG cable should you need to purchase both of them. Now, you're also going to need a controller, but because I didn't want to spend any more money and I wanted this to be a budget video, we are going to use whatever controllers we have lying around. So for this video, we have an Xbox One S controller that I got with my Xbox One S. So if you have a PS4 controller kicking around, if you have a Switch Pro controller kicking around, any controller with Bluetooth functionality should work here. The last thing that we need in order to get started is the Amazon Fire Stick remote that came with the unit. The first thing we're going to do is set up our USB drive, so let's head to the computer so that we can get that done. Before we put any files on our USB drive, we need to format it to FAT32, so I'm going to use a program called GUI Format. I'll include the link in the description. We're just going to select the drive, and we're going to do a quick format. This will erase everything on the drive, so you just need to make sure that you don't have any important files on the USB stick before you format it. Once that's done, we're going to open up a new window in Windows Explorer, and we're going to navigate to our ROM's USB drive that we just formatted, and we're going to go ahead and add some ROMs to the drive. And depending on the read-write speeds of your hard drive and your USB drive, this could take a little bit of time, so go ahead, get a cup of coffee, and come back once your ROMs are transferred. Now, we all know that I can't show you where to get ROMs, but if you're watching this video, I'm going to assume you already know how to get them, and you already have some, so we'll just skip that part, and we'll move on to which Android apps we actually need and how to go about getting them. Now, in our USB drive, once our ROMs have transferred, we're going to go ahead and create a new folder, and we're going to name that folder APK. We're going to download a couple of APK files from the internet, and we're going to put them right in this folder. Now, in order to do that, let's open Chrome, and the first app that we are going to grab is Retroarch. So we're going to go to Retroarch's website, and we're going to go to download. And let's go ahead and scroll down to Android. There's going to be several downloads here. We just want the one that says download. Now, the next thing we're going to need is an extension for Chrome called APK Downloader for Google Play Store. We're just going to go ahead and add this extension. I will include a link in the description. And we're going to need this to download our APK straight from the Google Play Store. Let's go ahead and type Google Play Store in the search so that way we can get to the website. And from here, we're going to pull 3 apps. Now, one of these is paid, that one being Drastic. I already paid for it, which means I should be able to download it. Let's go ahead and click the extension. And it's going to generate download links. Go ahead and click the first one. Now let's go ahead and close the window, and we're going to type Redream. Now this is a free emulator. You don't have to purchase this one. We're just going to do the same thing. We're going to click the extension, and we're going to download it. And the last emulator we're going to download is Mupen 64 Plus FZ. This is for N64. We're going to click on the extension, and we're going to click the download link the same way we did before. Let's go ahead and open up Windows Explorer, navigate to our Downloads folder, and let's select these 4 APKs. And we're going to copy them, and we're going to put them in the APK folder. So you should have Retroarch, Drastic, Mupen, and Redream. Now that we have everything we need, let's start setting up the device. So I have this plugged into my Sony monitor, and this was the closest monitor I had on hand. Let's just give a quick shout out to the Skylanders that are guest starring in this video. So here we are doing initial setup, and the one thing about this monitor is it has really bad glare. So when the screen is black like this, you're going to see probably shots of me. You're going to see shots of my chair. You're going to get a good shot of the room that I tend to record in. But we're going to roll with it, and we're just going to continue on with the tutorial. There's a good shot right there. You get to see my face in that part of the glare. So here we are downloading. We're just going to go ahead and run through this initial setup and get ourselves to the home screen. Alright, so that was kind of a long setup, but here we are at the home screen. And the first thing we want to do is we actually want to download this app called Downloader. Now, we're not going to be using it in this particular video, but it is a good utility to have if you want to download apps that are not available on the Amazon App Store. So it should be on your device just in case you need it. Now we need to go into the Fire TV settings and set it up to accept sideloaded apps. So we're going to click the gear on the very right, and we're going to go down to My Fire TV. We're going to go to developer options, and we're going to turn apps from unknown sources on. It's going to ask you to confirm, and we're going to go ahead and confirm it. So the next step is to go down to the find option, and we're going to go to search, and we're looking for an app called X-Plore, X-P-L-O-R-E. So I'm going to start typing it here. We're going to start with the X, and we're going to go move over to the P. And once we start spelling it out, we should see it show up right on the list. So we're just going to go ahead and download this. Now, This does say it has in-app purchases, but we don't actually need to buy anything to get this to Sideload APK, so this is what we're going to need. Now let's go ahead and open up the X-Plore app. It's not going to be on the front page. You're going to have to click these boxes on the right, and you're going to be able to see all your apps, and right there is X-Plore. So let's go ahead and open this up. And right off the bat, you can see there's the shared storage on the left, and there's the USB drive titled ROMs. So let's go into that, and let's go into that APK folder that we selected. And if we click on each of these, it's just going to let us install them. So let's start with Drastic. Next, we'll install Mupen 64 Plus FZ. Redream for our Dreamcast games. I'm not sure what we'll get for Dreamcast performance out of this device, but we're going to try it. And finally, the app that we are focusing on setting up in this video, Retroarch. Now, I know I had you install 3 separate apps, but my next video is going to cover performance using those apps. If you don't want to install them on your Fire Stick, you don't have to, but you might as well if you have access to them and you want to try to play those games. You're going to get better performance out of these standalone emulators than you are trying to run those ROMs in Retroarch. Now that we've got our app set up, let's go ahead and pair our Xbox One controller to the Fire Stick. So let's go back into Settings, and we're going to go down to Controllers and Bluetooth Devices. Let's go ahead to go to Game Controllers, and we're going to add a new controller. At this point, let's sync up the Xbox controller. So we're going to put the controller into pairing mode. And it is going to take a couple of minutes before it shows up on the Fire Stick. So as long as we have that blinking light, we know it's in pairing mode. So let's just hang on a second and wait for it to show up on the list. And there it is. It took about 60 seconds to show up on the Fire Stick, so go ahead and pair the controller. And once it's paired, you're going to be able to control this entire device with the wireless controller. You could see I'm moving the menu here with the up and down buttons, and we can go back with the B button, and we can navigate the menus with this controller just fine. So once you are paired up, you don't need the controller. All right, moment of truth. Let's start up Retroarch. The first time you boot it up, it's going to ask for permission to access the external storage. We're going to click Allow. Now, before we start messing with gameplay, one thing to do that's very important is to go into Settings and go into Input. We want to scroll down to Hotkeys. And we want to turn on menu toggle controller combo. You can use any combination you want. I prefer L3 and R3. This is going to keep us from having to force quit Retroarch and always give us access to the menu no matter where in Retroarch we are. Back in the main menu, go down to Configuration File, and we want to save current configuration. This is so we don't have to reset that setting the next time we enter Retroarch. Head back up to the main menu. We're going to go to Load Core. And let's click Download a Core. And let's download all the cores we want. So I'm going to download the cores for the systems that I put ROMs for. You can go through this list and download whichever cores you want. Now, I am not downloading cores for Dreamcast, DS, or N64 because we have standalone emulators for that. I am downloading the cores for every other system, however. And we're almost there. The last step is to import our content. So we're going to go to Import Content, Scan Directory, Storage, and the external storage is usually a number. And I'm just going to go into each folder and click Scan this directory. I recommend that you scan each folder individually. It will just make sure that your game library will be correct and there won't be any errors. Alright, so moment of truth. Let's boot up a game. We're going to go with Kirby's Adventure for the NES. The first time you boot up a game, it's going to ask you to set a core association, so you can pick whichever core you want. And here's Kirby's Adventure, playing on an Amazon Fire Stick. And that'll do it for this video. We've been working hard for the last 15 or so minutes trying to get Retroarch running on our $25 Prime Day Amazon Fire Stick. We also installed a couple standalone emulators. Look forward to my next video where we look into those and see how well they perform. Hope you enjoyed watching, and if this video was helpful to you in any way, please be sure to like and subscribe. Until next time, bye for now, and don't stop believing.